it's up to him. He gave me that opportunity to fight him. It's only right that if that's what he want to do, I'll give it back to him. Outside of him, I was looking.
Well, the latest is, we signed and contracted to do a rematch, and that's what it is right now.
Do you know when it's going to be, when we can hear?
I don't got no date right now, but I know that's the next fight.
The rematch between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. has been one of the most talked about events in boxing, especially after their first encounter in 2023, which saw Crawford decisively defeat Spence to become the undisputed welterweight champion. After Crawford's dominant performance where he stopped Spence in the 9th round, the world of boxing couldn't help but wonder what comes next for these two fighters. It's been more than a year since their first clash, but the possibility of a rematch is now more tantalizing than ever, and this time it could happen at a higher weight class. The weight was made even heavier when these two almost got into a brawl when they came face to face, with Spence making it clear that he's coming for revenge. I haven't heard.
And like I said before, it's in the contract, so it's not if I'm open to it or not. It's, what's in the contract. And Errol gave me an opportunity and a shot at becoming the first male boxer, undisputed, in any division in the 4-belt era, and I honor, that. And if he was to come to me or activate his...
The first fight was everything fans had hoped for and more. Crawford, as the underdog going into the bout, proved why he's considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Spence, a fighter known for his grit and toughness, simply had no answers for Crawford's versatility and speed. The fight was a statement. Crawford's win not only established him as the best welterweight in the world, but also solidified his place among the greatest fighters of his generation. However, in the aftermath of the fight, a rematch was always on the cards, especially given Spence's refusal to accept the outcome and his belief that he could turn things around in a second bout.
My first,
because I don't want to personally. We talking about what we want to see. I don't want to see it because I know what it's going to look like. The same as it looked last time.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Errol Spence wasn't the same.
What was wrong with him?
He looked slow. He looked he looked sluggish.
Why?
I can't tell you. I wasn't in camp.
At the division, he dominated for his entire career. All of a sudden, when it came time for this fight, he looked different. Why?
I wasn't in camp with him. I can't tell you. I don't know if his body finally broke down for being at 140.
For Spence, the defeat was difficult to process. He'd come into the first fight as the favorite, having dominated the welterweight division for years, but despite being in great shape and possessing incredible power, he couldn't find a way to deal with Crawford's skill set. Many pointed to Spence's injuries prior to the fight, with reports suggesting that Spence had suffered from a torn retina and was struggling with the aftermath of a car accident in 2019. These issues didn't stop him from entering the ring, but the toll they took on his performance was evident. Spence has since claimed that he wasn't at his best and that he's made the necessary adjustments to make sure he's ready for the rematch.
I want to see. I want to see Bud be great, but what better buffer to see if Bud's ready at 68 than the EJ rematch of 54 and 60? And how exciting would it be to watch Errol Spence he walks at 190. I'm 185 pounds right now. I'm 5'11". To think of me cutting and...
Now fast forward to 2025, and the rematch is just around the horizon, but there's a significant change in the air. Crawford, after bulking up significantly for a possible fight against Canelo Alvarez, is looking to move up and weight. This introduces a fresh dynamic to the rematch, as it could now take place in the junior middleweight division. Crawford's decision to move up isn't entirely surprising. He's been extremely disciplined in his weight management throughout his career, and at 35 years old, he's ready to test his body in a new weight class. Moving up to face Spence at 154 or any other weight could change the entire dynamic of the fight. For Spence, who's naturally bigger and more comfortable at this weight, this could give him an advantage, but it also opens the door for a more exciting version of Crawford, one who will bring added power and more experience against larger opponents.
To get this fight done, he gave up a lot of money on his side to have this fight at 147. If you look at the contract, this is a sport of contracts. Chris, you know this. You have signed contracts. You have tried to get out of contracts. The winner gets to dictate the weight. The loser got to put the rematch clause or put the...
One of the most compelling elements of the rematch is the renewed sense of confidence in both fighters. Spence, who has long been known for his relentless nature, has now admitted that he wasn't fully prepared for the challenges Crawford presented in their first fight. He's made it clear that he's been working tirelessly on his technique, his conditioning, and his overall game plan to avoid the same mistakes he made previously.
I feel as if, he would go back to the drawing board. He would come back stronger. He'll come back more hungrier. And he'll try to fix the things that, he needed to fix to make the fight look different in the second time than in the first time. I do believe that, but that's the only thing that I can actually.
Spence knows he has the power to hurt anyone in the division, but he also recognizes that Crawford's boxing IQ is on another level. To stand a chance in this rematch, Spence is focusing on tightening up his defense and making sure he can withstand Crawford's sharp counter punching. His confidence is soaring, and he's fully convinced that he can beat Crawford in a rematch if he sticks to his game plan.
Spence, yo. I'm excited for this, man. Give him a chance to hell out. Yo, and a hill Errol Spence.
On the other hand, Crawford is no stranger to confidence. After all, he's the one who proved himself in the first fight. For him, the rematch isn't about proving anything to the world, it's about continuing to build his legacy. Crawford has long been known for his composure in the ring, and his ability to think several steps ahead of his opponents. This isn't a man who lets a victory go to his head. He's always looking for ways to improve, and he's fully aware that a second victory over Spence would elevate him to an even higher level, just like Canelo will. What's intriguing, however, is how moving up in weight will affect his performance. There's a risk that the extra weight could slow him down, but given his meticulous approach to training and his focus on getting the right balance of strength and speed, it's hard to imagine Crawford being anything less than prepared.
There's a couple of reasons why Terence Crawford is doing this. Terence Crawford wants to go after Canelo or Charlo, because in reality, in his mind and in everybody else's mind, except Errol Spence and Errol Spence Jr. fans, he beat Errol Spence more than convincingly, which is, there's no need for rematches. There's
also the possibility that the rematch will bring an entirely different type of fight. Crawford's first win over Spence was a result of his ability to outbox Spence, picking him apart with precise shots while controlling the tempo of the fight. But with the bulking Crawford is doing for Canelo, things could change. Spence is used to fighting at a higher weight, and he has a reputation for being a much more physically imposing fighter at weights like 154. He has more muscle and bulk at junior middleweight, and his power could be even more of a factor in a potential rematch.
Has he exercised his immediate rematch clause?
I don't know if it's gonna be at 54 or 47, but I'm sure he's probably gonna push the weight up. But there's not gonna be no change in the decision. The performance still is gonna be the same.
For Crawford, adapting his style to a new weight class will be key. He's known for his fluidity and versatility, and it's those qualities that will allow him to continue to thrive even at a heavier weight. But there's no doubt that he'll have to be even sharper and more defensive-minded, especially as Spence will be looking to impose his will with his strength. The backdrop of this fight has also been shaped by the changing landscape of the welterweight division. As of 2025, the weight class is full of talent, but there's a sense that these two men are still at the top. The division is a little bit in flux with new contenders rising up, but it's clear that Crawford and Spence are still the names that everyone's focused